or some shit where you can get a point. I don't know. And so you can like a Canadian game. A field. Can you imagine if that Eagle defense had to play on a Canadian field where the field is wider? Holy shit. You talk about never setting the edge, let alone setting the edge. But hey, there's one man who has a green thumb. And this man does our pre and post. He also is the co-host of Birds 365. I listened again a little bit. I think John McMullen's water has been poisoned by Sileo because I hear a little bit of negative stuff going on. Why am I sounding like Coach Joe? I can't get it out of my mind. Anyway, all right. He's got a big game against Tennessee, too, this week. Woo! Coach the Boring versus the Vols. Can't lose the people who make atomic bombs at Vanderbilt, dog. That being said, we bring him in with Big Z, Zander Krause.
What's up, Big Sills?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm still recovering from our segment yesterday, which was that left me laughing for hours after the fact. What a segment that was. It's game time now, Big Sills. Football Friday, baby.
How you feeling about it?
Football Giants.
How you feeling about it, my friend, going up to a place that's always been, well, you know, it's a divisional foe. I mean, common opponent. You see them all the time. Going up to MetLife, where Micaiah Becton says it's a shithole. Doesn't want to play there. How you feeling about going and playing those Gigantes?
Quit fucking crying, everybody, about the turf, man. All right, I get it. The MetLife isn't great. I'm done hearing about it, though. Sills, the more I sit here and talk on air and the more I research on this football game, the worse I feel. Now, I will say this, and I will stick to what I said this morning. Even if I reserve the right to change my score, I will not change who will win the game. I do believe the Eagles will win the game. I think they have just more talent. I think they're going to out-talent this team. But I will say, somebody was in here. One of our great new members, I believe it was in here. I have a gut feeling that we win by 10. Okay, well, my gut feeling is coming in on the wrong side of this thing. It seems like this is a game that's ripe for the Giants to kind of take advantage of where we are, where they are. They're getting Malik Neighbors back, and I would be on the upset watches live. I do believe the Eagles are going to win the football game. I had 27-21, and I don't know if the Eagles offense can score 27 points right now. So that's my fear with my own score, but I'm going to stick to it, 27-21. I think the Birds get the win this week.
Hurts outplays Daniel Jones, right?
You better hope so. I mean,
no. I'm asking you. Hurts outplays Daniel Jones Sunday, right?
I can't say that with confidence, no. Wait, well, let's just run through it. I think he outplayed Jordan.
Super chats will be read at the end. We appreciate you guys. Please hit the like button. Go ahead, Xander. I'm sorry.
Appreciate everybody, man. Yesterday's show was just tremendous. The chat was tremendous. It was great stuff. I think he outplayed Jordan Love in week 1. Who do we have week 2? We had the Falcons. He didn't outplay Kirk, that's for sure.
No,
week 3, he had the Saints. I think he outplayed, but it was more so. Yeah, it wasn't. I view it as more as the defense shut down the Saints. Week 4, Baker Mayfield made him look like an arena football quarterback out there. And then last week, he was
good.
You beat up on Watson, yeah.
Well, good defense too. He was good. He was good. He was.
Yeah, I mean, he was okay. He wasn't great.
I say
he didn't make any progress in the areas you want to see progress in, other than the turnovers. So, look, it was good last week, but yeah, I mean, I'm not sold he's going to outplay Daniel Jones. He's not.
Well, the Giants coming into this game have done more passing the ball a little bit more.
They got one extra game. I mean, Danny Dimes has been
I'm looking at the average. It's about 219 a game right now.
right in that range.
So right now he's 12th Their passing offense is 12th in the league, and the Eagles are 17th in the league right now. And again, I mean, you can't use the excuse about receivers not being there. He has none. So, I mean, Daniel Jones has – well, he's got Neighbors, but Neighbors has been in and out of the lineup all year so far.
Yeah, so but Malik will be back. I'll tell you what my biggest fear with this game is. The Giants are leading the league in sacks right now.
And they're 10th overall.
In defense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you're looking at – I know they're not – I know they don't have Kayvon Thibodeau, which, by the way, should scare everybody because, if they got him back, I think this would be a real mismatch for our offensive line. Talking about
Fred Johnson's got to block Brian Burns.
Fred Johnson gave up 11 pressures on 38 pass snaps last week.
He's got Brian Burns this
week.
Or
not last week, versus the Bucs.
Okay, well,
he's got Brian Burns, who has 3 sacks.
Burns this week.
And then you also have Dexter Lawrence, who has 7 sacks already on the interior of that defensive line. Now, I feel pretty good about Cam Jurgens, too, everybody. But he ain't played anybody like Dexter Lawrence yet.
No.
So that's going to be interesting. And then, that like I said this morning, there's no common sense with the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't know how to use common sense if their life depended on it. So Jalen Hurts is going to drop back. He's going to be in the shotgun, and he's probably going to hold on to the ball for around 3 to 3.5 seconds like he typically does. If you looked at this defensive line, you said, oh, they lead the league in sacks. Let's try and get the ball out of the quarterback's hands a little quicker. That would be the common sense approach, and I don't think the Eagles will take it. So I think they have a chance to wreck the game, and without Kayvon Thibodeau, if they had him out there, it would be real trouble because I think Lane would block Kayvon, but that would open up your interior with Dexter Lawrence. So it's a big loss for them to not have him out there, but I still think they have a chance to wreck this game or at least make it hard for our offense to move the ball.
I'd say this to you. I just see here that Prince said he played against Villa. Well, I actually think the Buccaneer defensive line did a pretty damn good job against the Philadelphia Eagle middle of their offense. I mean, they didn't get anything going really.
That's fair, though, because I brought up Cam Jurgens. I mean, that's a tough test for Vita Vea is a tough test. You're right about that. And I think Vita Vea had a sack in that game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
And they did a nice job at stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
Because they stopped running the ball. He came out in the second half. Remember, Barkley went down the sidelines, and for whatever reason, they absolutely got away from that there. But here, I mean, who do you think has the most pressure on them heading into this game, Hurts
Eagles.
or Serianni?
Oh, Hurts or Serianni. I thought you were going to say Eagles or Giants. I'm like, Eagles, are you kidding? For me, it's Hurts. For the city, it's probably going to be Nick. Because, look, there's still a large swath of people out there who believe, like, all of our problems are on Nick Sirianni. And I got news for everybody.
There's no way.
They're not.
They're not.
I mean, I'm not a huge Nick fan either. Yeah, I'd like a real professional head coach. Not
how can a guy with any without responsibilities have – how can Nick, who has no responsibilities, how could he be under the fire and it's his fault with all the things that are going sideways? And there's not a ton of shit going sideways. They're just inconsistent right now. That's all it is. Where in the world, what his influence on the shitty calls that he calls? Well, how about all the good ones that John McMullen says that he calls where they're winning? They are 3-2. Look, I mean, he's probably 20% of the problem that you have in Philly right now.
Yeah, you could even argue it's a little less. Now, I think his problems are more. I think his problems are more non-football related. Where he's just a clown. He acts like a D3 coach, doesn't he?
Yeah,
like the D3 coaches that have to live on hype and hoopla and rah because those guys know most of those guys are playing football for the love of the game. They know they're not going to the pros or anything, or at least most of them aren't. That's where those D3 coaches make their money, and I'm not criticizing them, but that's what Nick Sirianni acts like. Which is pretty insane to think about when we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar franchise here, and these are the pros and the NFL and all this stuff. I mean, it's embarrassing with Nick Sirianni. But anyway, my concerns with him are mostly non-football related. My concerns are more player related, Jalen Hurts related, Eagles offense related. I mean, everybody's talking about this Kurt Warner breakdown. Kurt Warner did a tremendous video on YouTube after one of his tweets went viral because he brought up Jalen Hurts, and Eagles fans, as always, jumped all over Kurt Warner because a quarterback of Kurt's stature told you that he sees Hurts is at fault for some of the things. And then he made a video and he broke it all down. And yeah, it's a little alarming, Sills. It's
I
on
know
the
it is.
quarterback a lot more than people are lending to believe.
There's
And
guys wide open. They're second in separation,
all over
even
the
with
place.
your backups, and
Yeah.
he's 25th in accuracy. That's a telling stat about what people are looking at with his. He's not very accurate. If the guy's not wide open and he's predictable, get this. People like M. Reyes get a little bit aggravated when I say, here's his traits. He throws to the numbers and he rolls right, and he doesn't throw across the middle. That's who that guy is.
No, and you're right. In the first game, they came out and threw across the middle. He had 2 picks.
Dude, those guys, for whatever reason, when I see Jalen Hurts and I'm putting a game plan together, I'm forcing him to roll left, do whatever I can to do that. I know he's not going to go across the middle of the field. He's probably not going to find a tight end because he can't find him when you have the other 2 guys on the
He
field.
ain't out there this week anyway.
Yeah, right.
Does Jalen not like Dallas Goedert? Like you got
No.
Calcaterra more involved last
No,
week
because
in half the
Dallas
game.
Goedert plays on the seam and he plays on the hash.
Right.
He doesn't throw across the middle.
Yeah, but Calcaterra
Line
he got
him out
involved
wider.
last week.
Actually, I think it'd be better to actually put Dallas Goedert out wide one time and then bring in AJ. You know what I would do, Zander, really? To get Goddard going too? I'd put AJ in the slot a couple plays and put Goddard out wide so that he can get the ball in the hands of Goddard. Because you know the one thing that I love about Dallas Goedert? Once he gets the ball, dude, he's tough to get down on the ground. He has a nose for the end zone when he's in there. They've got to create and do a better job of getting a ball in the hands of other guys other than those 2 dudes because it's too fucking predictable, dude. Dude, it's the same offense as a year ago. And I'm going to ask you something here, too, because I brought this up in the first hour. How about this, dude? First 5 games of the year last year with Jalen Hurts, first 5 games this year. Brian Johnson do a better job with Hurts last year than what's going on right now with Kellen Moore the first 5 games?
I'd have to look at the tape, but no improvement in my opinion.
Just your eyes. Just your eyes.
My eyes would tell me no improvement. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head with since Jalen has signed his contract, he has not improved. He has gone backwards. He has regressed as a quarterback. Now, whether you want to put that on the coordinator, the player, the coaches, that's all up for you to think about, and everybody's going to have their own opinion on it. But the stats are the stats, and the facts are the facts. Jalen Hurts has regressed since he signed that contract after that 2022 Super Bowl appearance. And, it's tough for me to even criticize Brian Johnson at this point. Look at what Jaden Daniels is doing in Washington. And by the way, let me bring up one point from somebody in the chat, and I appreciate it, but I'm going to hit you back. Sean McKay checks in. He says, I have no worries that the Eagles will be able to score against New York. Okay, Sean, how many? Because we're averaging 21.2 points per game with a $175 million offense. That's what we're averaging per game right now, Sean. Do you believe that is winning football on the offensive side? Now, everybody loves to rip on the defense, and I get it. The defense is easy to rip. The scheme is soft, 2 high safeties, corners playing 10 yards off. Nobody gets sacks. Nobody tackles. The defense sucks. We all know this. They suck. But at the end of the day, this team was not built to be a defensive football team. This team was built to have a middle-of-the-pack defense and rely on your offensive firepower to win. 21.2 points per game. That's brutal.
I want to read you something here. So do you ever follow the NFL quarterback index? You know what that is? It's putting all the stats together, percentages.
Yep.
And all that stuff. I got to tell you, man, you weren't far off on how the quarterbacks are being perceived right now when it comes to their effectiveness, their efficiency, touchdown to interception, accuracy, all of that.
Right.
This index is a pretty good indicator of where you are playing so far and what you're doing, because you know what it does? It takes the record out of the conversation.
Right, you're looking at play.
You're looking at pure play of what the guy means to his respected offense. I want to read you something here. And you're more right than I am when I came up with my quarterback list and where I thought Hurts was. So check it out. I
delivered the greatest quarterback list you'll ever hear.
Here, listen to this. According to the recent NFL quarterback index, Lamar's 1, Mahomes is 2, Burrow's 3, Allen is 4, Stroud is 5, Jaden Daniels is 6, Golf is 7, Mayfield is 8, Purdy is 9. Geno Smith is 10 from Seattle.
Wow. That's
Jordan
surprising.
Jordan Love is 11. Dak Prescott's 12. Kirk Cousins is 13. Joe Flacco's 14. Kyler Murray's 15. Stafford is 16. Sam Darnold's 17. Aaron Rodgers is 18. Caleb Williams is 19. Justin Herbert is 20. Jalen Hurts is 21.
That was pretty good. I was pretty good with my list.
You were very close.
Yeah, I mean, I was off with a couple guys, but I mean, they had Dak a little bit higher. Where was Aaron Rodgers on that list?
18th.
Lower. Yeah, he hasn't been good.
I mean, end of the day here, this has got nothing to do with a take or anything. This is the play of the quarterback inside their respected offense. Jalen Hurts is not in the top 20. He's not playing in the top 20 with effectiveness and efficiency with his own offense.
Yeah.
You got guys like Geno Smith that are more effective and more efficient.
Yeah, and I would push everybody to stop falling into the trap of, oh, we didn't have AJ Brown. I mean, if that's going to be your take, then your take on the other side of it has to be, I understand we don't have anywhere close to an elite quarterback.
That's
Nowhere
right.
close.
That's right.
If
You
you're
indict
going
the
to
quarterback.
assume that your offense should just not perform at all, basically, to the tune of 15
That's right.
and 16 and 17 and 18 points.
They indict their own quarterback when they say that.
And they don't realize it, right?
And they
just
don't
use it as an
realize it, that
excuse.
they're indicting him. Well, we don't have AJ and Devontae. Well, that means this. Your quarterback's not efficient if you don't have your top talented wide receivers. Daniel Jones is more efficient at times than what you see with Jalen Hurts because he really doesn't even have a running game.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, so when
Prince
you say
says
that,
that's my top 10. Prince, I was busting with you, but you got to put in your top 10 again, Prince, because if it's close to that, I'll give you some kudos.
where is Mahomes and Allen? Mahomes is second, and Allen's fourth.
Yeah, and I had Mahomes 1 just because I wasn't going to unseat Mahomes.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I had Allen 2, Lamar 3, Joe 4, CJ 5. Brock I had a little higher. I had him at 6, Daniel 7, Jordan Love
By the way,
8.
Daniel Jones is 22.
Right behind Jared Hurts.
Right behind Hurts.
Yeah. So we got the same quarterback right now as New York. So keep laughing about Daniel Jones, everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
By the way, it's not any here. This is what people go. So you're comparing Jalen Hurts to Daniel Jones? No, I'm saying that Jalen Hurts is playing at the same level as Daniel Jones right now.
Well, no, I mean, look, you got to extend the same time. If you, depending on what logic you hold, you have to extend that logic to the others that you're going to evaluate. If
No
you're
way.
sitting here and tell me,
I agree with you.
Deserves an excuse for not having AJ out there or Devontae out there or having injuries. Are you going to sit here and tell me Daniel Jones sucks? He's had Darius Slayton since he's been in the league. I mean, think about it. This is the first time he's ever had a good receiver in Malik Neighbors.
Yep.
Malik Neighbors is lighting the league up right now. He's already had.
That's right. Odell Beckham was with Eli.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 10-catch game. Sills, Malik Neighbors had a game where he had 18 targets. Think about that. 18 targets to one player. He's going to be that good. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, look, you want to tell me A.J. Brown is so important for us? Well, he finally got a receiver. So evaluate him in the same way you're evaluating Jalen Hurts.
Let me ask you this. What kind of issues do you think? Here, let's do this. What kind of game do you think Quinyon Mitchell has on Malik Neighbors?
Well, I don't think they're gonna run him in man, and I don't think they're gonna let him travel at all. I mean, they already talked about that last week because they asked.
So they're gonna flip fields with him.
Well, no, they're gonna keep him on the left side, or I guess it would be the right side if you look at it from that way.
So Slay's not out. You're gonna go down to Isaiah Rodgers covering.
Yes, that's what they said they're gonna do. They're gonna keep Quinyon on his side.
That's a nightmare.
Now, I think Slay's gonna play, for what it's worth. That's just a think. It's not. I don't have a report or anything. I think Slay's going to play. Now, they're not going to play man, I don't believe, on them at all. So they're going to keep in that soft zone coverage, and they'll probably move Malik Neighbors around. So in the opportunities that Quinyon gets against Malik, I feel pretty good about that, honestly. I think Quinyon has been really good this year. I'm not ready to crown him like some people are ready to crown him. But I think Quinyon will be good. I think he's ready for the call. And by the way, can I just say how much I love Quinyon Mitchell's mentality as a defensive football player? I called him the silent assassin. It's exactly what you want from a guy that's a cornerback. He has a short memory and he's in your face. He's not going to be loud beforehand like Slay, going on podcasts, doing all that stuff. Now, maybe he'll grow into that. But right now, that dude shows up and he's a nightmare for people, as YouTube says. It's a good word for him. He's been a nightmare for receivers to deal with. And he should have had an interception last week if it wasn't for C.J. Gardner-Johnson jumping in front of his ass.
Do you know that he's almost tied Jalen Hurts with the play of Justin Fields, who's going to be dethroned as a starting quarterback this weekend? It's going to be Russell Wilson starting.
Yeah, dude deserves some credit, doesn't he, man? You lead your team to 4-2. Now, I know he has his issues. I don't believe he's that great of a quarterback either, but
you hear what he said in public, though? You hear what he said?
Yeah, that's what I'm going at. I mean, that was pretty impressive.
I love that.
That's really impressive. That dude deserves a lot of kudos. That's a dude you rally around that takes accountability like that.
Yep.
I mean,
I was
every
impressed.
off ramp in the world for you to not say what he said, and he said what he said. Took full accountability. I needed to be better. I thought that was really dope. Now I don't think he's a great quarterback. That's a different conversation.
No, but I want him on my team.
Yeah, right. I think he handled it like a pro.
I really like him. Guys, please hit the like button here. I appreciate you guys here very much. All right, Zander, are you more concerned about the offense or defense heading into this game?
Heading into the game, look, my overall worries on this team are offensive related because the team is built to be an offensive football team. The team is not built to score 21.2 points a game. That's not why that's why when we came into the offseason, like I said before on the show, if you looked at coming into the offseason, you'd say, okay, we got to fix our defense up. Well, how we didn't do that? Howie said, I'm going to put $12 million on Saquon Barkley. That was his approach. So Howie didn't believe the offense was good enough. So now you have 2 star riders.
Wait, he didn't believe the offense was good enough or the quarterback wasn't good enough?
Well, that's a quarterback thing. I think it's a quarterback thing.
I do too.
It's what it would appear to me. Is that you don't, you think everything needs to be perfect around the quarterback, and that's what they've built. So to your point, and you look at that 22 defense, they let that entire thing at every level walk right out of there. They really did. I mean, they let Marcus Epps walk. They let the 2 linebackers walk. They let them all go, and they
didn't replace them. It's one thing to let them go because I'm not paying Hargrave 20. I get it. I do. And you're hoping that Carter's the replacement. But like we said, I mean, Zander, they never replaced Epps. They didn't replace Reddick. They didn't replace 2 guys that had 300 tackles in White and Edwards. They didn't surely replace the depth. Hey, look, as much as that, am I saying his name right? Ajomo?
Yeah, Moro Ajomo. He's been a good, pleasant surprise.
Do you think he's a Dominican Sue in Linville Joseph?
No. I'm not going to go there, but he's playing well.
Okay, right. Okay, but look at that team and the depth that they had in the interior with Cox. Also that year who had 7 sacks. And you had 2 defensive tackles that had 18 sacks combined. I mean, Zander, shit. Yeah. That's interior 18 and your perimeter guys at 22.
That's unbelievable, dude.
Unbelievable. And your other guy at 16 regular season and 19 total.
Dude, we ran down those numbers yesterday, and I was thinking about them all night. I was having nightmares about those stats, man. Thinking about that 22 defense and how good how good that they were. Pretty unbelievable when you think about some of those numbers. But no, we're not even close to that. We'll never see that again. And I don't think, that's not as much of a knock because you have 70 sacks. I mean, it's not going to happen often.
There's 2 teams in NFL history with 70.
Yeah, right. Our team is not even sniffing that type of defense though, and that's a sad thing. And by the way, big shout out to Sue. She just got her shirt. She ordered a JAKIB shirt. She got it. It's awesome. She says, "Love it, Sue. Appreciate your support, Sue."
By the way, all super chats will be read at the end here, but I want to go back to something because Dave Wonstadt is going to join us. By the way, we may have something else special lined up. Tony Weiss, the offensive line coach of those Dallas Cowboy teams, I think is staying with Coach Wonstadt. Now, who Tony Weiss is, you guys are like, I've never heard of him. Coach Weiss has 3 Super Bowl rings. He was the offensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys during their Super Bowl years, and he was also a coach at the University of Miami with Jimmy Johnson, and that was Jimmy Johnson's offensive line coach. And we'll talk to him, hopefully, about Jeff Stoutland and what Stoutland does. that is so familiar to me because Tony Weiss did the same thing, Zander, that Jeff Stoutland does. And I want to know if he got it from Tony Weiss because Tony was the same thing. Every guy, first team, second team, third team guy got first team reps because he was developing everybody at the same time in case some guy went down like Gogan. They would put another guy in there like Giesick. So, I mean, yeah, Lord Von goes, Cowboy staff, get him out of here. You might want to fucking take a lesson, guy. Those guys own 3 rings. You're 1-3 in Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's
you
true,
might want to
Lord.
listen, guy.
Yeah,
you
Lord
might
Vaughn.
want to
Come
listen.
on, man. That's a naive mentality, Lord Vaughn.
Absolutely. And remember what a lot of people, I don't think you said it, Zander, so I don't want to put that on you here yet, but maybe you did. People go like this, Vic's scheme sucks. Well, Dave Wannstedt ran the same scheme when they were 1-15. Only thing that changed 2 years later were the players. They ran the same defense. Dave didn't change the defense. Dave even asked Jimmy, and we'll bring this up. Hey, should we go to a 34? Jimmy goes, no, we're going to stick to it. We just need better players. So Zander, this is about better players. This is Howie's deal.
Yeah, but don't you
putting
think
the better
NFL's
players
changed a little bit? Remember, back then, passing wasn't as common. I mean, look at Troy Aikman's
enough.
stats. I mean, he's the owner of what, 3
Fair
Super
enough.
Bowl rings, and he didn't have numbers like this.
But don't you fit the times?
Yeah, I just wonder if because it's become such a pass-heavy league, where quarterbacks I think have even gotten better in modern times with throwing the football.
I think it's easier to get sacks today.
And I think it's easier to throw the ball today.
Yeah,
and that's why Baker Mayfield come out and looking like a baller because he's watched our defense.
You're right. Baker Mayfield can't play in the 90s. He couldn't play in the 90s.
Right, it's a different league and it's a different sport now. And I hear what you're saying. I hear where you're going. Where maybe there's too much hate on the scheme, but you got to remember the background of Philadelphia, and that factors into it, Sills. Where the mentality of our fan base and our city is so polar opposite from what they run on defense that even when it worked, we hated it. And it worked in 22. It worked about as good in 22 as you'll ever see in the modern game. And one, we didn't win because Patrick Mahomes threw for, I don't know. He actually didn't throw for that many yards in that game.
No, he actually hasn't had a really great Super Bowl.
No, he hasn't. You'll ask Philly Godfather about that. He's critical of Mahomes in Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Look, I just think it's different. I just think the city will never get behind that defense because of the mentality and what they're used to. I mean, the defenses of the past with Buddy Ryan and Jim Johnson, it was just way different, man. It was way different, and they don't like this defense, and I don't like it either, to be honest.
Well, let me go over to Nick.
I see what you're saying, though. I really do.
Let me go over here. By the way, guys, please hit the like button. Let me ask you this about Nick. So, and let's just take for what John McMullen says, that these players, and I hear Merrill Reese say this all the time too. Merrill was on yesterday with us and said it actually. Players really like Nick. They like playing for Nick. Okay. Well, do you really think since 2023 that looks like the players like playing for Nick? Do they like playing for him?
Yeah.
I mean, do you really see a lot of people that enjoy playing for him?
No, and they're not playing good.
If you're going into New York, are you going to win this for your coach because he's taking so much heat? I mean,
that's a fair point. And I brought up that I think the locker room still seems like they're bought in, but you could easily point to the play on the field and be like, are they bought in? Because they're not playing very good.
Right. Are they?
And that's a fair point. And real quick, let me just push back on Christopher Ham. Worked in 22. Yeah, jackass. It did. We had 70 freaking sacks. It did work very effectively. Look at the defensive numbers from our team in 22, my friend.
And the 31st ranked schedule coming off of a 4-win team.
I mean, and what were we ranked defensively in that year? We were top 5 defense in the league, dude.
Second in pass defense.
And then he says it cost us a Super Bowl. Wait, okay. If you believe that cost us a Super Bowl, you believe the fumble cost us a Super Bowl too, right? A 10-point swing to the Chiefs with Mahomes. You're not ruling that out, right, Christopher? As long as you're not ruling that out, I'll let you make that comment.
Or was it the field? I mean, you keep coming up with excuses. Patrick Mahomes
cost us the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts' fumble cost us a lot more in that Super Bowl than that defense did.
Yeah, because you can't make mistakes against him.
It was a 10-point swing, dude, in a tight game.
You can't make mistakes against Mahomes. You can't afford
Nobody
it.
wants to blame it because he had a great game otherwise. Okay, good. He had a good game otherwise. He fumbled the ball.
Every time I hear people go like this, Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes, my retort is always this: not when it mattered most.
Yeah,
I
well, he
mean,
lost the game. I mean, look, he fumbled. It was a 10-point swing, and that's ultimately what called. I'm not ripping Jalen. I think he had a good game otherwise, but
he did.
You can't just sit here and tell me the defense cost us the game and then not factor that in. Sure enough, points it out where he's correct. We were top 5 in damn near everything, Christopher. So come on, relax over there. Relax over there, big guy.
How much Barkley will he be featured in this game on Sunday?
I think a lot. I think a lot. I mean, look, common sense would tell you a lot. They're not a great run defense at all. They're second worst in the league right now in yards per carry. And you have a great offensive line. Now, you're missing Jordan Mailata, but that doesn't mean Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, and Lane Johnson can't carve out some running lanes for you. Fucking rely on the offensive line. Go to old school football for a couple drives. I'm not even asking you to do it for a full game, and take the Giants out of the football game. But the Eagles, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the organization, Nick, Kellen, Jalen. I don't know what it is, man. They do not want to do that at all. They do not believe that what's worked in the game of football for 100 years works anymore. They believe it's their way or the highway, and that comes from the top. And that's why it's the same reason they brought Doug Peterson after winning the game. Why'd you do it this way? Because they believe their way is the only way and the best way. And that's a brutal approach for anything in life, by the way.
They always try reinventing the wheel. And guess what? Since 1920, run the ball, stop the run. You do those two dynamic things, you win the game.
Yeah, and it opens things up for your quarterback, man. Like everything. Because I appreciate the people who comment like Jalen Hurts is only 25 or 26 years old. Like, he's still pretty young. Like, he does have a chance to learn a lot more and get a lot better. I respect that comment. I really do. But not if your team is not going to do the right things for you. Not if your team is not going to help you out in simple areas. Like, you come out and you're throwing 3 go routes in the first 5 plays. Why? Run the ball. Let the young quarterback see the game a little bit. But they don't do that at all, and that's why I question whether Jalen will ever grow. Because it's not as much on him. I think he would grow if he was coached properly. But the organization believes in what they believe, and they'll die on it. And it's going to be our downfall.
Dallas Goedert, and as you said, Dallas Goedert and Jordan Mailata are out.
Impact those 2 guys confirmed it, by the way.
Impact of those guys, in your opinion, not being there. Goddard and Mailata. John Clark's reporting
they just were officially ruled out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Goddard, Mailata.
Is there any updates on Slay?
Slay was a full participant today in practice, but it says Q for the game, which would be questionable. Now I think he's going to play.
That'll be game time decision, like to your point.
Yeah, he's a full participant today, though. I mean, I'd have a hard time believing. Now someone brought up this morning, and this would just be speculation. It wouldn't be me reporting anything or me even trying to criticize Slay, but it does seem like every time we go to MetLife, Slay's got some sort of nagging injury that comes up. I don't know. Maybe it's the player. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Who knows? The dude always openly criticized the field, which I'm fine with, but you're a professional. You still got to play, my friend. So go out there and play.
Zander, before we read the super chats here, how do you think Nick has handled the week? Hey, I mean, not.
You mean just in response to what
I'm not trying to set you up to kill the guy. I'm just how do you think he's handled the week coming out of the bye, going into the performance that they had, that uninspired performance against the Browns, having to deal with all the things that went on with the so-called confrontation with the fan, whatever it was.
All right.
How do you think he's handled it this week?
Well, I think first of all, I think he did his team a major disservice, because if you go back and you watch the Browns tape, I know everybody wanted the bigger win, and it wasn't really the most pretty game. I think the team did a lot of things that you can build on in that game, and I pointed some of them out, but none of them have really been talked about this week because Nick made an ass of himself at the end of the game, and that's ultimately became the talking points. And then you add that with the 4-point win, the perception becomes negative on the team. I thought the team had probably their best overall game last week. Now, they weren't perfect. I'm not saying they were perfect, and maybe it highlights how mediocre we are as a team, but they did do some things I thought you could build on in that game, a lot more so than in previous weeks. There were no turnovers on offense. Jalen Hurts was 16 of 20 after starting 0 for
Clean
5.
game.
Very clean game for him. I mean, he completed almost 70% of his passes. And if you take out those first 5, which you can't do, I understand, he went on a 16 of 21, which is 80% completion. I thought there were things in that game, the young guys on defense, the tackling from the young dudes, Keely Ringo, Cooper DeJean. I mean, did you see that one play down in red zone where Cooper DeJean closed the gap? That was super impressive to me. I thought there were things in the game you could build on. And none of that has been talked about or none of that has been reviewed because I think of the ass clown that Nick Serianni was.
Can I tell
so
you?
To answer your question, though, before you butt in, to answer your question, I think he's done a bad job because, you can't discount that stuff, and that takes away from your football team. And part of being a head coach is silencing the noise and the rat poison, as Nick Saban would talk about. And he doesn't do a good job at that at all. And maybe he's done okay in the pressers this week, but I can't listen to the dude anymore.
Here's how I look at a player, unlike you looked at it when you just said Cooper DeJean. Now, I think there's more of a sample size on Quinyon Mitchell, and it's why I'm liking what I'm seeing with him. But Cooper DeJean, you mentioned some nice plays in the Browns game. I'm just going to tell you how a evaluator looks at a player. They'll look at that play and go, check 1. They'll check out the game against the Giants and go, check 2. They'll see him against the next opponent and go, well, now he's trending in an area where he's really good at pursuit. He's looking like he's somebody that understands tackling and angles. He does a nice job. He gets turned around a little bit. What you try to do, Zander, is build a profile up of a guy. You can't build anything up over one game because look at what Jalen Carter gives you.
Right.
One game he gives you, the Saints game, he turns around and gets annihilated by a very inferior offensive guard tandem of the Bucs, and he gets worked in that game. And then you turn around and you watch him against the Browns, and he was uninspiring against the Browns.
Yeah, very.
Not Carter, but Davis more so, was uninspiring against the Browns. So how I look at a guy, and I'm not going negative on Cooper. I just like to see. That's why when people go, Sills, do you think Hurts was paid too soon? Absolutely. I want to see more than 17 games. I want to see like 34 games before I drop $250 million. Because if you had to do that all over again, if you went through the 22 season and then you put the 23 season together, would you have given him $250 million? Man, after what I see, what they did with Trevor Lawrence and some of these other guys that have all these losing records, they probably would have. Okay? They probably would have given them that because they gave Murray that off of a losing record too. Now that I look at that, you had one here. Zander, I think he's 24, Hurts. And here's what I mean. His highest of highs is 22. His lowest of lows so far, and I'm not even going to go 21 because that's a first year starting.
Right.
I'm going to say 23. I think 24 is who he is.
Yeah. And you're not wrong to think that. I mean, you've brought up a good point. And if you took that 2022 season out, I mean, this dude is as pedestrian gets. That might even be generous. I mean,
The other 2.5 years have been average at best.
Yeah, you might be talking about like a career backup based on the other games that he's played outside of that 22 year. Now, I'm not going to cherry pick it out.
No.
He did do that, and he did prove that he has that type of upside. Now, the team has masked it, but I think you're probably right, Sills. I mean, this is probably who he is at this point, and that's why I'm trying to encourage the team, and then they're not going to listen to me, but I'm trying to encourage them to build around what he is and give yourself the best chance to win with the guy, and they're not going to do that.
But how about this, Zander, to what you just said before we read the Super Chats, 17 games, counting the playoffs, and then 39 regular season games, he's been average. There's more of a sample size on average play than there is on excellent play.
Way more of a sample size. I think it's not even close.
Right. I count 39 regular season NFL games, 9-7 his first year. Last year, they played 17. Now, he missed a couple games in that first year the 22 year he missed. He didn't miss the first year. He missed the 22 year. So about 39 games. he's played in the regular season of average football. The other 17, those were ones that he played in 22 that were excellent. There's more of a sample size on this guy being common than there is on a sample size of this guy being exceptional and elite. I don't know where some of these fans are constantly still saying that when he's played more not bad games. He's played more average games in his career than good games. That's how I look at a player. I look at a player for what you have accomplished as an individual and what your strengths and weaknesses are, not based off of one freaking game.
No, you're right. You're right.
I mean, you've got to look
You've been
at
saying
the
that for years,
side.
man. I mean, you've been saying that for years, that you look at the full body of work, and Hurts has done good things in his career, but I think this organization is so stuck in their philosophy that they never gave him the proper chance to get better as a quarterback. Now he has his deficiencies, and you're probably going to live with those no matter what offense he lives in. But I think the Eagles could have done a
But they
lot
don't
better.
coach around him.
No, they don't at all. They don't at all. I mean, and it's evidenced by the way that they call their game plans. It's evidenced by, I mean, look, if you look at the first 10 plays of a game, right? Like those are said to be pre-scripted before the game, before you even start the game. That tells you all you need to know about what they're trying to do with him every week.
No doubt.
Like if they came out in those 10 plays and were like, we're going to run it down their throat, you would see what they were trying to do.
They spend the whole week on those
like crazy. What?
They spend the whole week on those games.
Exactly. And that's the best insight into what the Birds want to do. And it hasn't worked. And that's why we're the worst first quarter team in the NFL, which, by the way, I mean, is no small thing. I mean, you're talking about your team is ineffective for 25% of the game.
Slow starts.
Slow start. And we're talking about big slow starts, not just a couple drives. The whole first quarter.
And a football team that can't get behind because of their inexperienced defense.
Right. I mean, there's only 4 quarters in the game, Sills. You take yourself out of one quarter of them automatically. I mean, you're going to set yourself behind the 8 ball in a lot of games in this league. So they got to get that fixed. And I don't know if they will based on how they're trying to come out and attack teams. I really don't. I mean, if you're the Giants defense, I mean, you know exactly what you have to do to come in and stifle this offense.
Right.
You know exactly what you have to do. And as a defense, you're going to live with a couple go balls connecting with A.J. Brown, right? I mean, you can live with that. They're going to take away everything else, and it's not going to work from a full-scale thing.
Let's do the super chats here, my friend. By the way, guys, please hit the like button.
Dude keeps that Bob is right about that. Team believes in run, pass. They barely believe in the run first either, Bob. There's one dude in here who keeps putting his comment. I guess he stopped putting. Oh, here it is. JT, if you're still here, I was going to get to it, man. You just got to let me get to the end of the segment. JT says, Zander or Sills, how come in 22, all I ever heard from coaches was Hurts was in the building 24/7? I never hear this anymore from the coaches or anybody. Disappointing. Sills, your take.
JT, you want me to give a guy pats on the back for doing his job? I mean,
yeah, but here's the reality, Sills.
I think
he's not in there all the time anymore. I mean, look, this is why when you pay a quarterback, you want him to have inherent skills and talent, because sponsorships get in the way. The guy's engaged now. He was on a TV show. He's on commercials all over the city. Family, big house out in the suburbs. Jalen Hurts has other shit going on now, JT. That's the reality. And I'm not going to kill him for it because life gets in the way. I get that. I mean, they should be committed, but life is going to get in the way. You're not going to be able to spend every waking minute at the facility your entire career, but you got to have talent. And now that he's not doing that, you're seeing why he's not developing and progressing as a quarterback. And I think you're right. And I'm not a reporter and I'm not at the facility every day, so I don't know if Hurts isn't there as much. But the common perspective would be, yeah, a lot of stuff has now been added to Jalen Hurts' play.
Remember what Boomer Esiason said? He's going to have to learn how to play with his contract. And I don't think he's done it.
And look, I mean, he's appearing on all over the place, on commercials and all sorts of stuff. And that's fine, but that's taken away from him for sure. And you definitely don't hear that.
Do you agree with this take care by guy here?
Yes, he did. That's basically what Kurt said. And Kurt went into that trying to be nice because of how much backlash. Like, he put out the most simple tweet ever and referenced Jalen. And they started crushing Kurt on Twitter. They actually tried to put words in his mouth.
How quick?
He had to correct some people. So he came into that video knowing,
How quick did it turn the race?
What you mean on
Kurt.
in more turn? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of it did. I didn't look that deep, but people were trying to say that he was saying Jalen Hurts was dumb and all these things. And look, when people break down the tape for what the tape shows, I don't think anybody, regardless of your race, religion, or creed, should give a flying fuck about anything that doesn't matter. The truth is the truth. The tape is the tape, and the reality is the reality.
Hurts is not dumb. He's just not a good passing quarterback.
He's not a good processor of the game. I mean,
absolutely not. He doesn't see the field.
Yeah.
So. I mean, we've been saying that since he started.
So you would actually enjoy that YouTube video.
I'm gonna take a look at it because
I'll send you the link.
By the way, Kurt's been on our program.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. You'll enjoy it. It's not too long, and he really does highlight the issues here, and they're a lot bigger than most people would want to believe. Let's go to our super chats. Brian Pumper checks in. Hurts don't work on his craft anymore. Okay, he has a kid. I don't even know. Does he have a kid? I never heard that. He needs to focus on football. All of Philly's well-being is in his noodle arms.
I guess Brian is out on Jalen Hurts.
Well, Brian, that's typically why when you pay a quarterback, you want him to be uber talented.
Yeah.
Because other shit is going to get in the way, and you got to be able to have a great talent to continuously be successful in a league like the NFL. Talent trumps all. It's a talent league. That's what it is.
Hey, Brian, I told you, you don't have to have a spectacular football team, but if you've got a great quarterback, you can win a Super Bowl.
Dude, look at this delusion. I can't even, Lord Von, I can't even deal with your level of delusion, my friend. Reality, LOL. Reality is we have the best offensive roster in the league. Okay, Lord. Why are we averaging 21 points a game? Why?
Lying. He's lying. You do not have the best roster.
No, he's in delusion land is where he is. He's literally in delusion land.
And your offensive line is not what you think it is. You don't run the ball like you do. You don't have a top flight running game.
When we get going, stay on that side. Yeah, thanks for telling me how to be a fan.
Okay, when you get going,
you're not. I'll make sure I take your opinion to the bank and cash that check.
Let's go on to another one here, Zander.
Clary Voice says Nick needs a hype vid. He founded the 22 playbook.
Hey, Clairvoy. I mean, once again, it's about players also. Nick is a product of his players like Belichick is a product of his players. You think Bill Belichick's any lesser of a coach when he didn't have Tom Brady than when he had Tom Brady? He's the same.
I got an update for you.
Yeah.
Jordan Mailata has been placed on the injury reserve. What's that?
Holy shit. It's out for the year.
No. Injured reserve, I thought was 4 games, right? Minimum?
4 weeks?
4 weeks minimum, I believe, is what that would mean.
I think you're right. You're right.
I don't think that's a year.
You're right. But I told you it'd be a month. Remember I told you when we saw it on Sunday, it'd be a month.
Jalen Carter's good to go Sunday, by the way.
Good shoulder?
Yeah, he's good. He's fine.
Okay. That's right. You're right. You're right. I'm right.
Yeah. All right. So it's going to be 4 weeks minimum.
He's been placed on the same thing that Tua was placed on.
Yeah, and now they have to activate him. They have to open up the practice window and all that stuff to get him off that. So the 4 weeks is going to be the minimum here.
Through that window, then he's gone for the year.
So now you're looking at Fred Johnson as your starting left tackle. I wonder if potentially they move Mekhi.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little longer term.
Let's see how this game plays against what Fred does against Brian Burns.
Fred's going to get. If I'm Brian Burns right now, he's like this, licking his chops.
Absolutely.
Right now, looking at the Fred Johnson tape. I know Fred Johnson's a great story. Everybody.
I'm running games over there too, by the way, with my tackles and my linebackers and seeing if he can pick that shit up. Okay.
Yeah, just let me give you a quick. I'd like to give you guys real quick the numbers on Fred Johnson, which are not good. I know everybody thinks he's a fun story and everything. So Fred Johnson has played in 3 games this year: Saints, Bucks, Browns. Saints was the game that Lane went down in. Bucks was the game that Lane missed. And last week he came in for Mailata and he only played 5 snaps. So these are the numbers, right? In the Saints game, he was decent. He came in, he had 33 pass block snaps. He had 1 penalty, no sacks given up. He gave up 5 pressures on 33 snaps, okay? Buccaneers game, he played the full game. 38 pass blocking snaps. He gave up 2 sacks and 11 pressures. 11 pressures.
Wow.
Last week, he played 5 pass block snaps and gave up 2 pressures on those 5 snaps. Fred Johnson is a career backup. He is not. We are not in a good position with him at tackle. So if I'm, like I said, if I'm Brian Burns or the Eagles, and you're game planning for Brian Burns, they're gonna want to probably give him help, or if you can't help,
2
get
tight
the ball
ends.
out of the quarterback's hands quicker.
2
I
tight
don't
ends.
think they're gonna do it.
2 tight end set and 3-step drops will
Right.
help that with getting the
Get
ball
that
out of the
ball
hands.
out quick.
Don't forget, Dave Wanstat's going to join us here at 4:30.
Yeah, let's roll through these quick because I got to get out of here. Clary Voy checks in. Appreciate it, Claire. He says, schedule of the biggest bust QB signings, Danny Dimes, Dak, Lawrence, Burrow, Health, Jalen in conversation. No one has his talent on offense.
Who are you saying, Jalen?
I guess he's saying he's a bust.
Jalen's a
You
bust.
don't tell me Joe Burrow.
Listen. Here, clairvoyant. I would say this: Dimes and Dak and Lawrence and Jalen. This is what the NFL is right now. You've got 5 guys that are great, and the rest of them are just decent, and you're overpaying for them.
Yep, no doubt. Prince says, that's my top 10. You owe him an apology, Zander. Prince.
Shut up, you backslapping hump. What do you want? This guy wants kudos for being once and right in what?
I'll give him Prince. Do I want to give Prince an apology?
No. If Nick won't, wait. Well, I don't know. If you want to be Nick, go ahead. Apologize to this guy here.
The worst list I've ever seen in my life. Prince.
Hey,
Bigelow
do something
checks
that
in.
Nick
Appreciate you,
won't do.
Daniel, my fellow Rangers fan. He says, average 21 points per game, and we scored, 34 in week 1? LMAO, sad. He's right. That's bolstering that thing up. That thing would be down at 17, 18 points per game if you didn't have that output in week 1. I'm not going to play the if game. So
21 points a game. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, do me a favor. Score more than 21 points against the Gigantes. We'll see.
We just hit on that. How's that for an ROI, Big Sills? 175, and you're getting 21 a game. Wow.
That good. New coordinator,
Anthony
too.
Wilson checks in. Appreciate you, Anthony. He
Stop
says
gaslighting
Sills. Slayton and Robinson are better than Campbell and Dotson.
Who is Slayton and who is Robinson?
Well, here's what I will say, because everybody dismisses
because
them.
The quarterback's better.
Here, let me just give you some numbers, because these dudes aren't as bad as people say. I will say, now they weren't good.
Quarterback's better.
Yeah, well, here. Darius Slayton has 24 catches, 301 yards, and a touchdown this year. Solid output in 6 games. Not great, not brutal. Wan'Dale Robinson's a good slot guy. He has 37 catches already in 6 games.
Okay. This guy, Anthony, indicted Hurts again by saying when you don't have Devontae and AJ, he can't make Campbell and Dotson better. But this guy makes Slayton and Robinson better when Malik's not out there. Holy shit. Thank you, Anthony, for the content. You indicted your quarterback in his noodle arm again. Case closed. Nice. You dude. Campbell and Dotson are nobody. Slayton and Robinson are third wide receiver guys that the quarterback is making better. Your guy can't make Campbell and Dotson better. You indicted your own quarterback.
Anthony, appreciate it, brother. Brian says, Grant Calcaterra, you didn't get these, right? Grant Calcaterra, Fred Johnson versus Brian Burns. Kenny Two Gloves better get warmed up. 7 sacks for the Giants. Book it. Hurts under 100 yards.
No way. No way. He's not going to throw for under 100 yards. No way.
John says, talent means nothing if you cannot put it to use. Amen to that, brother. And then we got that right. If the Giants win the toss and choose the kick, we know it. We got that right.
Yeah. Hey, the only way that they're going to score a touchdown is if this happens. I defer. Go ahead.
P. Diddy's burner. Oh, God. He says, the Eagles' offense uses more baby oil than I do.
Really wormy. Really wormy. Okay. No good. All right. Coach,
so what was your question, bro? I'll answer it if you give me it real quick.
Go ahead, man.
I didn't see it. I didn't see the question, Sean.
once you answer.
Oh, right, there we go. So, Xander, let me ask you a question. How many points did we score against Green Bay? I mean, good, Sean. Yeah, we scored 34. It was a decent
First game
output.
of the year, different team.
First game of the year. I mean,
completely different team now.
In Brazil versus shoddy defense on a shoddy field. I mean, look, Sean.
Different game.
Because I appreciate the point. He's trying to say, look, this is what we can be. But here's the point. And it's the same thing you said.
But that's like saying that the 10-1 Eagles were the same as the 1-7 Eagles.
We have a bigger body of work than one game, Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Dismiss all the other stuff.
Sean, you're saying to me that you think you're as good as the team that beat Green Bay in the first week? Well, here, let me give you more of a litmus test. Last year you were 10-1, and last year you sucked at the end. Which team were you? Doesn't really matter who you play in week one. Yeah. It's who you're playing in January and how you're playing in January. Well, whoever you beat, whatever quarterback you beat, it doesn't matter until you get to the championship months. You know when championship months are in this league? December, January, and February. Nobody gives a fuck about a September 6th game.
Dude, it's a healthy team. Welcome to the NFL, Sean. Nobody's healthy. Nobody.
Look at the Rams right now.
Let me get out of here because Dave Wanstead's coming up. Can't wait to hear Dave. Before I get out of here, big shout out to Mad Bird, who's in the chat. I think he's in the chat. He might not be in the chat right this second. Mad Bird just placed a big ass order of JAKIB merch. He's going to be decked out head to toe, and he got the new design I put up yesterday, the bleed green hoodie with the white logo. So it's on black, and it looks really good. So big shout out to you, Mad Bird, if you're listening. Appreciate your support of the channel, brother. And it was great talking to you on the post game show, and hopefully I'll get you back up soon.
Gotcha, brother. I appreciate it, Zander. We will catch you on the pre and the post game show on Sunday. Don't forget Birds 365. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it. Mad Bird, really cool. Thank you again. Zander, thank you, brother.
Appreciate it, Sills. Great stuff, everybody. Let's get that win. Oh, by the way, my score prediction. Did I give you that? I did. 27-21. I did give it, but 27-21, man.
You got it. Thank you, Zander. Guys, do me a favor. Dave Wanstead is going to join us. We'll talk a little bit about Vic Fangio and that style some of you hate. 3-time Super Bowl champion, defensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys, former head coach of the Dolphins and the Chicago Bears will be next. Hit that like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.